I like your glasses. I'm always on the hunt for good glasses. Where do you get your glasses?
These are Tom Ford.
They're really good.
If you wear the same ones, I wouldn't mind. We can be twinsies.
I love it. You know what? I'm just heading out to Tom. I mean, I'm not sure I can afford Tom Ford. Obviously, that
these are ready to wear. You'll be fine.
Cool.
So I have to say, Home Alone, famous holiday film. What was your first experience with the original, with the classic movie?
So here's the thing. I sort of watched it when I came out, enjoyed it, largely sort of forgot it. But then my daughter became utterly obsessed with it to a frankly annoying degree, where every time it'd be like, oh, what should we watch today? And it'd be like, Home Alone. I go, yeah, again, are you absolutely sure? Okay, absolutely. Oh, you're having a birthday party. What would you like to watch? Home Alone. Okay, but it's June. Like, it's not Christmas. Doesn't matter. I want to watch it. It's okay. So, like, my daughter, I saw it. I then came to see it through the sort of the lens of my daughter, who was absolutely obsessed with it. And so when it came up that there was an opportunity to direct it, I felt I sort of, had to do it for her as much as anything else. So,
did you bring her on set?
Yeah. Well, here's the annoying thing, where essentially they came on set we shot it in Montreal. They came on set for a couple of days and were due to fly back and be out with me for a month. And then I don't know whether you've heard, there's a thing called COVID. I don't know.
Oh yeah. I've heard whispers.
Yeah, okay. Well, watch out. That's all I'm saying. I think it might end up being big. Don't know. Then that happened and they couldn't come out. So, and they were going to be extras. They were going to be all this sort of stuff. But, so we're the real victims. I think my daughter's the real victim of the pandemic.
I have to say, you can't tell, sometimes some things that have been filmed during COVID, you're like, oh, you had to, like, everyone's just in a room, like you can tell they had to make changes. But, I would actually not have guessed this was filmed during COVID.
So, well, I'll give you a couple of clues, which is basically 2 actors didn't return from before COVID to after COVID. So we had to, you'll notice in the hotel room scene, there is a dismembered voice behind a toilet.
Yes, I wondered about that. That's very clever.
Clever-ish. I mean, it's not the most sophisticated ploy you've ever heard, but yeah. So little things like that certainly confounded us on a small level, but fundamentally we were very lucky. And my biggest worry, frankly, during the whole COVID thing was that Archie, who plays Max, would hit puberty. That was just like my big concern. I'd be calling his mum every week, just going, any signs, any facial hair, any spots?
Don't feed him any protein. More sugar, stunt his growth.
Exactly, all of that. Bind his feet, stunt his growth, do whatever it takes. So fortunately, the gods of puberty, if they exist, I don't know who they are, but they were kind to us, and Archie managed to stave that off for the 6 months that we were away.
Well, you have a very wonderful career as Sacha Baron Cohen. What's it like to go from doing adult comedy to family comedy?
I mean, look, it's one of the reasons I wanted to make this movie was to make that transition and see whether I could make jokes that didn't rely on, body parts or cuss words. And the truth is, the same rules pretty much apply across different genres of comedy. So, timing, nuance, rhythm, surprise, shock, reaction, all of those are pretty universal, whether it's kind of a kid's movie or a family movie or an R-rated comedy. So fortunately, I don't think I lost too many of my superpowers, such as they are.
Who comes up with all the traps for the burglars?
So it was a mixture of, some were obviously in the script when I got it and were brilliant. And then, frankly, I became slightly obsessed with it to the extent that everywhere I went, I sort of looked at every object I saw as being a potential trap and kind of murder weapon. So it'd be slightly damaging. My wife would sort of find me staring at kind of, soda streams. So, what are you looking at?
That was creative.
Yeah, exactly.
I did not think I saw kind of where you were going. I don't want to spoil it, but I did not think that you would go as far as you did.
So all of that stuff, I became completely obsessed with turning everyday objects into potential murder weapons, which is not necessarily the healthiest state of mind for somebody to live in. And still now, I sort of slightly kick myself when I see a sort of, a funnily shaped lamp or a particularly lethal looking tray or something like that. But maybe if there's another one, I can utilize those skills next time out.
Was it crazy to because that was made a long time ago before all the technology that we have today. So it would be a lot harder to leave someone at home. Right?
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely a challenge, but I think, you'll tell me, I think hopefully we managed to kind of elegantly
I thought you did actually,
because I think if you're not to bang on about it, but being a father, I'm aware that you can sort of isolate your kids from the excesses of, communication and the internet, and you just make sure they don't have mobile phones and all that sort of thing. Unfortunately, in my case, it's making sure my kids don't go onto the computer and watch any of my previous work rather than anything.
Okay. No, that's true. But Parental Lock, that was very clever.
Yeah, all of that. So I think hopefully, again, I thought, when I was told about the movie, I was just like, well, how in this day and age is that even possible? But I think Streeter and Mikey did a very elegant job of explaining that and not laying it on too heavily.
I liked the McAllister tease with the McAllister home security system.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, that's one of there's a lot of little kind of just moments and Easter eggs and bits in there that acknowledge that we know the original movie existed and we love it and we pay homage to it. But I think the point is that this exists independently of that and lives in the Home Alone universe, such as it is, in the same way as there's a Marvel universe or a DC universe, there's a Home Alone universe. So we're not saying that the original didn't exist, but I think this lives independently from that.
I think your daughter will like that shout out.
Good, excellent.
Well, also, you're British, and you guys, I figured that out for myself talking to you here, and you guys have a different. You celebrate Christmas differently. It's not as commercialized, or at least it hasn't been as it is here in the United States, right? I've always been very, well, we find your Christmas very charming over here. We're like, oh, look, they have the hats on and the poles, the crack, what are those things called?
Crackers, yeah.
Yeah, Christmas crackers.
I wanted to do a Christmas cracker bit joke in the movie, and everyone's just like, oh, what? Christmas cracker? I didn't realize that you don't have them here. So we had to remove that from the possible.
Oh, you could have introduced them. You could have brought them to America.
That's my job. I've got bigger battles to fight. Yeah.
Well, what do you think of a Christmas in America? Was it interesting? You obviously don't feel they're that different, right?
What's interesting is that you have sort of Thanksgiving a month before.
So
I feel sorry for Christmas because Thanksgiving steals a lot of its thunder. It's in Britain, it's all about turkeys and a lot and eating and all those sorts of stuff. Whereas America, as far as I can work out, is you watch football and go to the movies, which we would never do in England. Nobody would dream of going to a movie on Christmas Day. But then I forget that you've got Thanksgiving where all the families get together and you have all those family moments. You don't want to see your family twice in a month, do you? Let's face it, you've done it at Thanksgiving, you don't need them again at Christmas. Just like,
just saw you.
Yeah, whereas we have all that pressure coming on Christmas. Christmas is the big thing. We've got nothing from. The last thing that happened. Really, we had a bank holiday in May.
Oh, wow. My last question for you, I'm getting the 1 minute signal. My last question for you is, if you were left home alone, what do you think you would do?
You don't want to know that. But, well, actually, what, it happens quite, as a father, there are moments, when my wife takes away my children, she'll go off and visit her friends for the weekend. And immediately what I do is I go to the fridge and eat all the bad foods that my kids sort of have left there. So, like cookies and ice cream, and then sit down and sort of watch sport non-stop for 48 hours. It couldn't be more boring. I will watch any sport. I'll be sit there in a sort of comatose ice cream cookie state, watching, golf, darts, curling, soccer, anything. Just that's all I do.
I have to say,
That's not a great movie.
There's your sequel, though. A dad left home alone.
Yes.
Love that.
Not the best, but I'll take it.
You are an absolute delight, Dan. I loved talking to you.
Likewise. I knew from the moment I saw those glasses, we were in for a treat.
Excellent.
So pleased to meet you, Grace. Let's do it again sometime.
Have a great day.